Mayor Ta, Vice Mayor, and members of the council, late last week when we were doing the budget, we got a notice through Councilwoman Kimberly Ho that the county has $300,000 in funds to be used for outdoor dining in other parts of the city. And it had to be on tonight's agenda because the county wanted to disperse the money by June 30 of this year. So both Councilwoman Ho and myself talked to the office of Andrew Doe, and they definitely said the money is for the city of Westminster if the council chooses to accept or adopt this idea. So of course we did not want to lose this opportunity. This kind of supplements what we have done on the east side of town to bring in about, I believe, $500,000. So we could not say no to this money. And with that, I'd like to turn to Councilwoman Ho to add some more information on that, if you don't mind.
I don't have a whole lot more to add, except for just as you said, $300,000. And I had expressed interest when I, months earlier, regarding my interest in doing something on the west side, if there was any money left or any money at all that we could have. So I was we're very lucky to be receiving $300,000. So my thoughts are we should be doing something on the west side, because we don't want to forget our businesses on the west side. And so that's it. And I'd like to see if staff could look into a location or whatever area. I'm going to leave that up to staff to present to us or recommend to us how to use this money. And we want
absolutely, yes. I already talked to Alexa about that. We're going to start looking at possible locations, possible ideas, how we're going to let as many restaurants and or organization know about this, and then we will come back to City Council with a recommendation on how best to use this money.
Great, thank you.
I agree. This is a really good item. Really good item. Want to thank Councilmember Ho for working with the County Orange. I think that it's really good that our city we going to receive additional fund for our local dining, and I let Councilmember Ho to make a motion if she wishes to.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the additional or receive the additional funds from County of Orange for local outdoor dining facilities and accommodations.
I'll second it.
All right.
I just want to say thank you to Councilmember Ho, and also you can thank for me Supervisor Doe for reaching out and getting us these funds. I think it's great for our business community. Hopefully they can be some help in trying to recover some lost business. And hopefully we can get some businesses to partake in possible events and help out. And hopefully we can, now that we're gonna start opening up and get people out there and start supporting our businesses, get out there and have some good food, get some shopping going. So thank you, Councilmember Ho.
All right, we have a motion and second on the floor regarding this item.
Motion made by Councilmember Ho, seconded by Councilmember Manso, and that's to authorize the receipt of $300,000 in county funds to further expand outdoor dining opportunities in other parts of the city. Roll call vote, Councilmember Doe?
Yes.
Councilmember Ho?
Yes.
Councilmember Manso?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nguyen?
Yes.
And Mayor Ta?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Next item 5.4. Legislative consultant contract with TD Strategy. TD Manager.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, good evening again. Following the discussion that took place at the last council meeting of May 26, I got a note the next day, almost got a call from Mr. Diep, who said that he wants to definitely end or withdraw from the contract, and he sent a letter to that effect. That's included in the staff report. Also, there's been some questions out there. I also answered in the report. The amount of money we, first of all, the contract was signed, I believe, April 29th, and then there was some questions, how come we paid him for the month of April? And the reason for that is the agreement was really started on the 23rd day of March. And then the first time as we were working on that, it was signed on March 24th. However, it went back and forth until we got everything straight. Like, for example, the first version, it had his social security number in it, and we did not want that to be public information. So we changed that. We asked for more information on the insurance that was required. So back and forth. And by the time at the same time, Mr. Diep started working on the contract, because you see the first report I got was April 5th, I believe. So this is why the April 29 versus the payment for the month of April. So, and then as far as the amount of money, he was paid for the month of April in the amount of $7,000. And then for the month of May, he's yet to be paid. We haven't paid that amount yet, in the amount of $6,400. And then for the month of June, there's no services that took place there. Again, as far as the scope of work, I've mentioned it before and I'll mention again. I needed to get some help on a part-time basis from somebody who is going to keep an eye on the legislation activities in Sacramento, what kind of funding is available out there, also what's coming up through DC and all that stuff, especially in this era where we have a lot of funding being given to us or being provided with COVID and then all that stuff. So that was really the main intent. And then some cities have a specific person to do nothing but that, to stay on top of legislation activities. It could get complicated sometimes. And that was my main intent, is to stay on top of that and to do nothing but that. Now, as far as, like I said, one of the first things that we were able to achieve as a result of that, and again, I want to clarify something. This contract didn't really include for somebody to actually fill the applications for the grant funding out there. And that's never the case, really. Even when you we've hired lobbyists before with DC, that's never the case where the lobbyist will actually get the pen and fill the application. No, the staff needs to still do the information. All the lobbyists or the person who's helping you do that will give you, tell you where are the money, what are the sources, what are the deadlines, who do you talk to, who do you contact, and that's what it is. And as a result of this, really, the first thing we got out of this deal is when I was notified, I believe in the first week notice, that April 15 was the deadline for the earmarks. So jumped on that right away, worked with staff. We only had, I remember, 2 to 3 days to put an application together, and we were able to do that. And then we sent that out to Lowenthal's office and Michelle Steele's office. And then later on, and then also we had some other opportunities through, like the 1.5 million through Senator Tom Umberg. That one staff knew about it, and then we were in the process. And then I get some calls. One of them was from Councilman Taido about the opportunity for money through Janet Wynn's office. So also we had only a couple of days to do that. We jumped on that, and we were able to submit $7 million in 2 applications to Janet Wynn's office. And and then also, again, what I really had in mind for this, the way I was thinking, is really some big pictures also. And then I listed them in the staff report. One of them is that with redevelopment agency, the city, we lost exactly $36,064,252 to the state when the state budget was in trouble. And the governor said, I want to balance the budget. So they took all that money away from us. Now, I wanted to question that. I said, with $75 billion surplus in the state funds, can we get some of that money back? Can we get all that money back? Now, who's gonna find that out? How are we gonna know who to talk to? You would need somebody to know Sacramento, know who to talk to, who to go to. So that was one of my goals. That was a goal of mine. The second one is very important, I think, for the council to hear, is for years we've been hearing about this. Westminster is a low property tax city. And then Prop 13 came and locked us in. And then therefore we've been suffering all these years. Why can't we question that? So we're looking into that further. I found out that the 1% property tax we get from the properties, that pie gets divided between the government agencies, the school districts, the Midway Sanitation District, the County of Orange, and then the city, and then all that stuff. Westminster only gets 7% of that 1%. And we are the lowest city in the county who is getting that. Other cities are getting double that. Why not question that? Who should we talk to talk about that? I know it's Sacramento. I know it's Sacramento. I know it's the legislators. So that was another goal of mine, to see what we can do about that. The third one also I had in mind is the federal infrastructure bill. And I know there's also a state infrastructure bill being prepared. So how can we maximize our revenue from that? And then also the last one, as was mentioned earlier, is the cannabis. I know it's legal now. I know there's a lot of state laws out there. I know there's a lot of do's and don'ts and allowed. So this is the kind of things I was looking for in something like this. I know it's a lot of big ideas, but why not? But so I just wanted to explain that. That was my intent, really. And nothing else. That was my intent to see. And then, because over the years we've been really aggressive, going after federal funding and state funding and all that, and the record shows that. So I was just going along those lines, nothing else really. So that's my report on this. And now this contract is over. And also, if I may add, I did ask Mr. Diep that the council request your appearance in front of the council to discuss the contract and to discuss what the achievement is. I did not get an answer back, but I understand our city attorney did get a hold of Mr. Tyler, and then I'd like Christian to cover that, if you don't mind.
City attorney?
Yeah, Marwan asked me to reach out to him to try and get a response. He did end up sending me an email today, which says, regrettably, I must decline your invitation to speak before the upcoming city council meeting, since I am no longer under contract with the city of Westminster. If you have any questions about the service that I provided while the contract was in place, please review the weekly reports that were submitted. Those reports speak for themselves as to the nature of my services. And that's all he said.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian and Marwan. I just had thank you for the report. I just had I think you kind of understand now, after all this, kind of why this kind of blew up. I'm sure, well, at least I hope you understand why this blew up. When things are done kind of like in the dark, people react. We're in the public, we work for the public, and we have the public to answer to. So, I think this is a thing about an issue of perception and about ethics. When you put out a perception of something's going on kind of shady, people are going to react and people are going to question. People are going to ask questions. When it's an issue of ethics, we have people to answer to. I read Mr. Diep's letter as far as him saying that it's about political opponents. I don't think that's that at all. I don't have a relationship with Mr. Diep. I really don't know him. I think it's very possible that he could have done a good job for us. But the way it was handled, we would never know. I don't have anything against him. I don't have no reason to have anything against him. He's never done anything to me. But the way it was handled, the way not all council members were made aware of this. And I have a question for council, because we're under the assumption that only 2 council members weren't made aware of Mr. Diep's contract, but I don't think anybody really asked if everybody was made aware. So I guess I'm posing the question to council: was anybody else made aware of Mr. Diep's contract? So I would like to know if any other council members were made aware of Mr. Diep's contract.
Not I.
So thank you.
Not me. Nope.
So see that?
I'm not aware of that. And I think the city manager already explained, he hired Mr. Diep on his capacity. Yes.
And I'd like to add to that. Not only this time, but a couple of times already that I didn't know anything about it. If I want to call, bring you back at the time that our interim city managers, Sherry, she actually hired Alexa as a director of planning, and also hired Kathy Thompson as a interim for HR. We didn't know anything about it. I think there's another position I know. At one point that we have a closed session meeting, and all of a sudden that Kathy Thompson is there, and then I remember vividly that Council Contreras asked, "Who is that person? Who is Kathy Thompson?" And at that time, we got reported from the city interim city manager saying that she is our interim. That I want to tell you that I don't know why that time and this time we don't know anything about it. I totally agree with you that but I still just go back. At that time, I asked Sherry, interim city manager, but I still consider that, okay, it's under your jurisdiction, then I respect you for that. But to answer your question, it's not only this time, but the last time we have the same problem.
Okay, thank you.
I want to concur with the vice mayor. In the past, many of our former city manager, they hire all the consultant without informing our city council.
No,
I can say that because I've been here more than anyone else.
Yeah,
I saw that. So I really appreciate that Vice Mayor brought up the issue. How come in the past, no council member asking the former city manager? So how come this time, we asking our city manager, because our city manager, he has a responsibility, and he also have his capacity to hire a consultant to help him to do a job.
well, the difference is council, mayor and vice mayor is the perception, because this is not just anybody. This is somebody that has a relationship with some of the council members, some of the council members, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what it gives a perception to the public of something's going on. And I think that's where we need to, as public officials, and our city manager is a public official, should have had that and should have taken that into account when making that hiring, and should have did it out in the open, that Mr. Diep is not, he's not some unknown person. He is a public figure, a well-known public figure. So that's the difference between the examples that the vice mayor gave.
I want to add to my comment too.
I know.
You know?
Can I finish? Because I'm
Okay, go ahead.
Those are the difference, and I'm pretty sure that you can be honestly say that that's the big difference here. Okay, that Mr. Diep is not nobody. Okay, it's about transparency, and that's why the public and the media made such a big deal about it. Okay.
Okay,
Because I'm not done yet. Please let me finish.
go ahead.
That's why it's such a big deal. Because whenever anybody does something that looks like something's kind of shady, people are going to speak up. People are going to question you. People are going to hold your feet to the fire. And it's just natural. You know, we're public officials. All of us that, you know, us as council members and staff, city manager, we're all public officials. We signed up for this. We have the public to answer to. So it's just a given. And hopefully, and I spoke to the city manager, and hopefully this is a lesson learned. You know, hopefully that, you know, this is a bump in the road. Hopefully we can move on from this, but we do have to answer questions. You know, I have a couple of questions that I keep getting asked, and I just need to ask the city manager, or people keep asking me, so we cut a check so we signed a contract for TD strategies, but why are the check that we see on the public record made out to Tyler Diep?
We did look into that. I think the way the sheet he submitted, when that shows his tax ID and all that, it does show Tyler Diep as the name. So I think something related to that. But that's why. I don't know if Aaron can comment on that.
Yeah, the W-9 said paying taxes as Tyler Diep, so that's why we wrote the check to him.
Yeah.
But the contract is TD Strategies.
The contract has both the T3 strategy and also Tyler Diep as a CEO, I believe.
And before you hired him, did you know that he was not allowed, that he could not lobby at the state level for a year since he left the state assembly? Did you know that he could not do that?
No, I did not know that. Christian might comment on that. Christian?
City attorney, please.
Yeah, I can't speak in detail as to the agreement, but I would say, yes, there is a 1-year restriction. I think in looking through the scope that wasn't the intent, was to do lobbying work. But it's my knowledge that that's not what he did. I think he provided information to the city. There's some reports that he provided, which kind of indicate what sort of work he did.
Because I was under the impression that that's what kind of we needed him. That's what he was going to do. That was part of his job.
Yeah, to formally go and lobby would have been problematic in terms of his own former agency, from my recollection on the 1-year rule.
Okay. Okay. And then how do we come up with the $80 an hour pay scale opposed compared to what the county's paying them?
It's just similar to other contracts we have. Like we have a contract with a retired city employee who's doing some IT work for us, and we're paying her $80 an hour. And that's how we came up with the number. Really, it's kind of comparable to what other people are doing.
The other points I want to just make is just that as a council member Ho kind of gave us an example today of the importance of relationships with our elected officials, elected representatives. You know, we already in the past have had not only council members and our mayor and our staff have had long relationships with our senators, Congressman Lowenthal, or Supervisor Doe. So, I mean, those are relationships that we should be building, that we have been building for years. That's not something that we should have used somebody like Mr. Diep to do. Those are, as you can see, the benefits. And Mr. Councilmember Doe, you know, with the relationship that he got some funding from Assembly Member Nguyen, you know, that's something that we've already been doing. So, you know, that's why people are questioning those decisions of hiring Mr. Diep to do something that we already have been doing, and our staff has been doing for a long time already. So those are all different examples of why everybody, and this became such an issue. So like I said, I'm hoping that this is just a bump in the road. Like I told you before, you know, I'm a fan of yours, and I'm hoping for much success from you, and you know, I'm hoping, you know, you and I work good together, and just, you know, I was really disappointed in the way this whole thing played out, and hopefully that we can learn from this and move forward, and just hopefully that, you know, like I said, it was just a bad thing, and you know, there's just a lot of questions still out there that people want answers for. And, you know, I know the other council members probably have some questions, but yeah, I mean,
I do.
bad thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I do. I have something to say. First of all, I'm very disappointed in our city manager. I'm really disappointed because I think after last week's or our last meeting, last council meeting, we were here. We were here for a long time, up to what, 11, 12, I lost track. But I think you should have restore confidence in your office. I feel you should have canceled TD Strategies after listening to what we said about it. And instead of waiting for TD Strategies to cancel us. So that's one thing I feel that maybe you disagreed. Maybe you didn't do it because you disagreed with what was said. So that's one thing I want to say. So you mentioned that you wanted to find money. Where are the monies, etc. And that's why you needed that contract. You hired TD. But you know, this is the reason why I think you need an ACN, an assistant city manager. And I know we already decided that, but this is the reason why. And this item came after the other items I went to. So I'm going to say it again that you really need an assistant city manager, because that assistant, you know, your number 1 to 4 is very offensive indeed. To me, it's very offensive. So number 1, you know, I know what RDA money is, and I know why we lost it. I know not why we got it. So RDA money, 36 million. Well, you know, I mean, back then, years ago, when our city, and I won't name names, declared this entire city an RDA. Okay. And that to me is wrong. Okay. I think that to me was greed. And then, of course, when that money was taken away, then it, you know, obviously we felt that pinch. And now in you thinking, by you thinking that there's a surplus and that we're going to try to ask TD Strategies to get the $36 million back, I wrote here, good luck with that. Are you dreaming? We're not going to get that money. Why? Because if we get that money, everybody else going to have to get their money back too. You add that up. So no, we're not going to get that money back. That would be just a dream. And then number 2, okay, so the tax. So you know that our pie chart, okay, everything is spoken for, every percent or every piece of the pie has been spoken for. To ask for a bigger piece of the pie and to have TD Strategies do that, I'm not sure if that's far-fetched. So like I said, 1 to 4 is offensive to me. And somebody mentioned that, and I'd say offensive indeed. So number 3, so I mean, I want to finish number 2 is that, so you know how hard it is. Okay, so it's not going to be within the this contract that you're going to make that change and take a bigger piece of the pie. Okay, so the number 3 is when you talk about, you know, the anticipated federal infrastructure bill and the funds, and you talked about Lowenthal, Alan Lowenthal, and the, you know, the funds of the various branches of government, federal, state, etc. So I believe that, you know, when I called County Supervisor Doe's office, because we're in District 1, and so I was looking for money, and I know I put that out there, and I said, hey, you know, this is what I'm interested in doing. And so it was very nice of them to keep that in mind. And, but, you know, I think the ACM would be given this task to follow up on all these monies. We shouldn't wait until somebody say, hey, you know, we don't hire TD Strategies just to go and listen and then say, hey, I think there's money over there. So, you know, go fetch it. So I think the ACM would keep an eye on, and I think as a matter of fact, if you don't know how to do that, I'll give you a suggestion, is you would probably make that the ACM's job description, one of the jobs descriptions is to, hey, you know, every month or bi-monthly, perhaps, connect with the various offices, Alan Lowenthal and Senator Umberg's office, you know, and just once a month, twice a month, connect, share information, receive information, put it out there. And then maybe, you know, just open that line of communication so that when there's money, you'll hear about it. So I think that's another reason why, you know, I think you can't do it. This is the reason why we need an ACM. We know that you've got your plate full, but that's not the reason why you need a consultant like this. And then the new laws of cannabis, etc. You know, I've asked our city attorney. We do have city attorneys, I guess, in his office, maybe not Christian himself, but then, you know, you've got people at your office, Jones and Mayer, who, you know, do specific research on these topics and on topics of interest. You name the topic, they'll do it. So this is something that you just would not just randomly put together. And, you know, like I said, 1 to 4 is very offensive. So then the other thing is, you know, for me, it's all about moving our city forward. Okay, we had the recall, we had the infighting, we had all those things. And everybody's witnessed it. It's quite an embarrassment, but like I said, I'm willing to put all that behind me, and I want to move our city forward. So it takes everybody. And so I think it would be recommended that, I know that by right, you have the right, and you maybe we bestow that right and that power onto you as the CM, the CEO of this, you know, of this so-called company, to make those decisions of who to hire. But I think it would, at least I would expect you to email us, let us know, let us, all of our council people know if you're going to hire a person of controversy or may have some controversy. So I think that would be recommended for the future. And then, and I say, okay, so let's have some check and balance. So if you're going to go hire someone, and I rather not hear it from the outside, or it's some media group, or anybody from the outside, I would recommend that our city clerk, you do something that I'm, you know, maybe I will, you know, but something that our city clerk could email us a list of all new contracts, you know, once a month. I mean, I know you have such a list because you compile the list, and if you don't have that list, well, you know, where do you think they're pulling the record from? You're the official record keeper, so you would have such a list. How about if we have that, and once a month you email us, as you know, a list of new contracts. We don't care about. We're not interested in the warrant register because we're getting that anyway. We're talking about list of new contracts, so that there's some, just in case there's something like this happening, and at least we're aware of new contracts, and that when we're not going to hear from people on the outside, and that we should have this firsthand knowledge when called upon. So, you know, I believe what Councilmember Monzo said earlier. You know, we want you to be successful. We're not here to cut you down and you know, I mean, not so quickly. Shall I say, I'm not giving you really a report card today, but very soon. So I think you're gonna, but I think that because things like this happen, we want to bring this up and to help you succeed, you know. So I hope you don't take it wrong, you know. I want you to have confidence moving forward and hire your people to help you where you need help. And we suggested those people, and you know, this is something that we bring up to talk about so that it doesn't happen again. So I'm hoping that you could, you know, give me some confidence that it's not going to happen again. That's all I'm looking for today. And I turn the floor over to somebody else who wants to speak.
Okay, if I may. Well, you know, during the last council meeting, I already stated that I was shy, and to hear a question posed to me from a very well-known newspaper reporter from the Orange County Register, asking me to confirm a rumor, and I was like, "What rumor?" You know. So I heard Tyler Diep was hired as a consultant from the city, and I was like, "This cannot be true," because if something like that, I have confidence that our city manager Mark Wan would definitely let the council know. Because no, Tyler is a very controversial individual. He support the majority of the city council, you know, for the past campaign, which is okay, which is natural. I mean, you know, we support ally in politics, which is completely okay. Nothing wrong with that. But the issue that I have, when I look at the issue, I see there's so many things wrong in so many different levels that I did not know where to start. I see holes in everywhere. I mean, you know, it could not hold water in court, anywhere. And so I call and talk to one, and you confirm, you very calmly and confirm that, yes, you know, yeah, we hired Tyler Diep and a consultant. And I was like, oh, it's okay. You have the right to do that. But I'd like to, you know, in my mind, I didn't ask him, but I like to, you know, listen to you, give you a benefit of the doubt, and listen to your mitigating circumstances, why that you hired this individual. I'm sure that you have good reason to, you know, I'm sure that you have his qualification, his ability to take care of business on the city behalf. I'm sure you have all that reason. And of course, you know, you move on, very happy to tell me that that was a good decision, and Tyler have credit, will credit it to earmark. I'm not sure that's the correct word, but yeah, earmark about $9.5 million from federal funding through the elected official, our Congress people, Alan Lowenthal, Michelle Steele, and you mentioned Umber, I think. So okay, that's good news. I mean, you know, I you know, there's no reason for me not to trust our newly appointed city manager. Okay, that's not a slide down in my mind, and not to trust what you're telling me. But a couple of days later, I have to read from the newspaper all the information that you provided would totally will confirm that it's not true. Because the newspaper reporter did her due diligence and contacted the Alan Lowenthal and all the elected official that was name was mentioned, and they totally saying that, hey, you know what, we did not talk to Tyler Diep. The city didn't reach out to us. We reached out to us. I mean, we reached out to the city of Westminster and tell them to fill out the application, apply for the funding, which is not being approved yet. Okay, I don't understand the procedure, but you know, so that's why I asked the council to put this item on the agendas so that you have an opportunity to present yourself, to provide mitigating circumstances, how you, why and how that you hire Tyler Diep to work for the city of Westminster as a consultant. So I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you know, I expect an honest and straightforward answer from you. You know, nothing. I'm on a fact-finding mission, and I'm not trying to embarrass you. Just something I'm going to ask a direct question. If you already know me, I'm going to just ask direct questions. Okay. And I expect a totally honest answer. If something you feel uncomfortable, I'd rather you not telling me, refuse to answer the question, than give me some untruthful information. Is that a fair statement, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, who approached who to hire Tyler Diep to work as a consultant for the city?
I approached him. I approached him because, as you heard my report, I needed somebody to really help at the state level. And knowing Tyler from previous years, He was a council member for many years, and I worked with him before. And I know he is on the Midway City Sand District. I worked with him also. And I knew he was an assembly for the state assemblyman. So I thought he would be the guy with the background that I really need to do this discovery type of thing.
Okay, how did you reach out to him? By telephone, smoke signal, email? How do you do that?
No, I mean, since he was on the council for many years ago, I had his number, he had my number. I would send him Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, Happy New Year, and all that. So yeah, I did. I talked to him on the phone and I reached out to him.
Okay, so you decided to reach out to him.
Yes.
And offer the job.
Yes. Well, not
Okay.
offer the job right away, to talk to him and discuss what I had in mind. And he said, yeah, that's something I can definitely do and help you with that.
Oh, okay. So did he tell you he's been working as a consultant on the side since he out of office?
I don't recall that, whether he told me he's working for the whether he told me for the county part-time or not, but he might have told me something, but that wasn't important to me really. I just said, this is what I need, and is that something that you're interested in and you can help me with? And he
So
said,
what is important to you?
It's to understand the legislation that's going on in Sacramento. How can we find out where the funds are? What are the deadlines? Things like that. That's just
Okay.
like what I mentioned in my report.
So
And honestly, I thought he has the knowledge and the connections and the timelines and all that stuff.
so that's what you thought, or that's what he told you?
Yes.
Convinced you?
Yes.
Guess what?
I'm sorry.
You say yes what?
Is
that what you thought?
That's what I asked for, and he said yes, he can do that.
Okay, so you thought that he had the qualification, the connection, the know-how to be a lobbyist for the city of Westminster. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if you call it lobbyist or a legislative analyst who can research the legislation, see what the deadlines are, what's coming down the tubes, things like that.
Okay, so so you know about the ban that legislators who left office, they're not allowed to go reach out and contact that legislative body.
Honestly, I did not know that. No.
Okay.
I
What do you
did
know?
not know that.
What
And
did
he did not mention it to me.
Okay. Did you consult with the city attorney office?
On that thing, no. I didn't even know to think of, because I didn't know that thing existed.
Okay. So the city attorney is a risk manager, right?
Right.
He's a go-to person. That's why we hire a city attorney to protect our interests.
That's true. But
Okay,
honestly,
so you did not.
at the time, I did not see any risk in doing that.
Okay.
That's why.
Why do we? You mentioned something about you pay other consultant $80 an hour, and you propose that dollar amount.
Yes. It's not.
Okay.
I don't pay that. It's through other department, through finance, I believe.
Okay. So you say that we pay the consultant in the past, right?
No, actually, as we speak now, we have some consultants working in the city doing some IT work for us. And I believe the ongoing rate is about $80 an hour.
Oh, okay. So you use consultant in other field, in IT, information technology, and you translate it into political consultant or lobbyist.
And knowing, knowing the market and knowing the professional services these days, that's where the number is around.
Do you know that most lobbyists, a consultant, get paid per job? They don't get paid per hour?
It depends. We've had consultants before.
Do you know that? Answer my question, sir. Do you know that or you don't?
No, I don't. And I'm trying to answer that too. We had lobbyists before. They were not paid per job or per thing. I know Midway City had lobbyists, and they paid them a percentage of money they bring in. So there's a
Midway
lot of
City.
options, huh?
Midway City have a lobbyist. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. Midway City, I don't know if it is now, but I know in the past they had a lobbyist, and the agreement was, you bring us in 100,000, you get a percentage of that.
Okay, so they have a flat fee.
It's not a flat fee, it's a percentage of what he brings in.
Okay, is that different from the hourly wages that
Yes.
we paying?
Yes,
Why?
definitely. Because the hourly rate, like the contract states, is 20 hours a week. And then he puts 20 hours a week, we pay $80 an hour. That if
Okay,
he puts
do
20
you know-
hours, huh? If
Do
he
you know
puts 20,
why? Do you know why most lobbyists get paid per job instead of hourly wages?
but if I may, we had other contract with the city of Westminster. It was not like that. It was a monthly or an hourly rate over the
Okay,
years.
okay.
Yeah, so
let me tell you. Let me explain to you why.
Sure.
Very simple. They don't get paid hourly wages because most of the time they have nothing to do.
Mhm.
They got paid per job or per percentage. Okay, because you get paid per the hour. Guess what? You have to be able to prove and bill and show how much you work in for 20 hours a week.
Right.
Okay, I guarantee you that he doesn't spend 20 hours a week working on that simple 5-paragraph reports, right? And you mentioned the Midway City have a consultant, right, or a lobbyist.
Yes.
Okay, have you seen their report?
No. And
Okay.
I'm saying about Midway City few years ago. That's what I remember hearing, but I'm not sure if they even have one now or not.
Okay, so do you know they provide that report to the board director for Midway Sanitary District?
I'm not sure if they do or not.
Okay, have you compared that report to what Tyler report to see
No.
is any? Okay,
No, all my intent is that I look at the weekly report and I see the information in it, and is that the information that helps me or not? And that's what. And like I said, the first report I did, that's where I got the April 15 deadline from. Otherwise, honestly, I would have missed that deadline. And that was the deadline to submit the earmark applications to Lowenthal and the Michelle Steele.
okay. So the Congressman Alan Lowenthal was less than truthful when he told the reporter that he never heard from Tyler Diep, and he never in his office, his staff reached out to the city of Westminster and asking the city to apply. So what he was saying, telling the newspaper incorrect. Is that what you're saying?
No,
on record?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Tyler Diep, I'm not saying Tyler Diep reached out to the congressman office. I'm saying Tyler Diep told me the deadline. He must have heard it from somebody else through through Washington channels, because the earmarks is a program through Washington. So huh?
So the congressman told Orange County Register reporters that they reach out to the city and tell the city the deadline and hurry up and apply for that funding. So you're saying that the congressman was mistaken or less than truthful about that one?
No, he could be right, but I know he didn't reach out to me, and maybe he reached out to somebody else on staff, but I didn't know that date except from that memo that I received. But
okay, so how did Tyler Diep communicate to you, sir? How did Tyler Diep communicate to you? By email, by telephone,
through that weekly report. It's, if you look at it, it's in that weekly report. That's how I found out about it.
Do you know that Tyler Diep is an elected official for Midway City Sanitary District? Do you know that?
Yes, he's on the board.
Okay, good. Do you know that he's representing the city of Westminster?
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned Janet Nguyen. Who's Janet Nguyen?
Okay, I know she's a state legislator. Yes.
She our state assemblywoman, is that
reps.
correct?
Right,
Yeah, you just mentioned Janet Nguyen, okay?
right.
So you mentioned that Assemblywoman Janet Nguyen reached out to me,
Yes,
okay? And I told her to reach out to me as well at the the mayor of the city,
right,
to let the city know that
right.
there's funding available for our city,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay. Did I reach out to you and let you know?
yes,
And did you reach out to the Assemblywoman Janet Nguyen
Yes.
and get the funding?
yes. Within 2 days, we submitted $7 million applications. Yes, thank you for that.
Okay. Did Tyler Diep communicate to Assemblywoman Janet Nguyen or her office?
No, not to my knowledge. I did not get any information from Tyler about the Janet Wynn office info. No, it was only through you when you told me.
Do you know that they don't see eye to eye? They don't talk?
I did not know that, honestly.
Okay. Do you know that Assemblywoman Janet Nguyen is representing the city of Westminster?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I
you
do.
know, our city can reach out to her and get all the information about funding, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The only thing, if I may, from my experience with other legislators, state, counties, federal, sometimes they don't have the time, the staff time to really go after what you're looking after. That's why for years in Westminster, we had a lobbyist working for us in DC level. So we needed more than our senators in DC and to reach out to those things. And that's why I'm saying that if we really want to be aggressive, we need to get more help than our locals. And with all respect, and then definitely from now on, I will definitely reach out to them more often and see what kind of information. But if we want to be more aggressive in getting the money, sometimes you need more lobbying help, from my experience.
Okay, as a city manager, you're a most powerful position in the city. Do you think it's ethical for an elected official who represents our city and then hire him and pay him a salary to work as a lobbyist for our city?
I did not think much of it. And honestly, as a public works director, I never paid attention to any political affiliations or I didn't know whether I cannot hire a politician who was I did not know that. And I admit this is probably a mistake on my side. And now I'm a city manager. I'm becoming more aware of political connections and politics and all that. But before, I did not honestly spend time. I was focused too much on projects and public works, and that didn't mean much to me, honestly.
So you're not at the varsity level now. So you're not the JV anymore as a public work directors, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and now I know. Now I know definitely.
Okay. Okay. So, as a city manager, you have a lot of people working for you, give you advice, advisor, and people who are willing to grab you and pull you back when you try to, jump out of the car, moving car, right?
Yes.
You have a big support group. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have people all around you can, give you information because there's no way that you be able to know everything. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay. Is there anybody in the city that give you input about issue that you will face when you hire Tyler Diep to work as a lobbyist for the city?
Before I did, no.
Nobody in the city tell
no.
you not to hire him?
No. Before I know.
Okay, so you're telling me that no. Okay, so did you inform any staff your intention to hire Tyler Diep? Okay, anyone in the city, so that and listen to that and that person did not give you any input.
I really don't know the details. All I know is that I work with the city attorney, to get the agreement and then work with the city clerk to finalize the agreement. And that's really it. I'm not sure what kind of.
So you talk to the city, you talk to the city attorney.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure. Like there is a privileged communication here. If I can ask the city attorney, can I question what he asked? If you telling him, he asking you, is there a privileged communication here?
Yeah, I think probably from my standpoint, I was asked to, I was presented that he wanted to do the contract. I said, you need to use the standard form. And pretty much the way it's structured is the city's standard form with you attach the proposal at the end. And that's what he did. So.
Okay, there's nothing else. There's no, you didn't get not.
I was not involved in making a decision on the contract at all.
Did he ask for your opinion?
As far as if we want to get into like
Risk
more detailed
management
questions.
Risk
Yeah,
management.
I think I would probably, as city attorney and attorney-client privilege and those kinds of things, I think I'd prefer to do that in closed session. If we wanted to have that
all right.
kind of discussion
Well, that's what I'm
about
asking.
under city manager review or something like that. But my involvement here, this is not my decision. This is something where I was asked about the form of the contract. So
Right.
I made sure it was on the standard form and that they attached the appropriate exhibit. And
Okay, so thank you, Christian. So Mark one, so basically what I'm hearing is you are single-handedly make the decision to hire Tyler Diep.
Yes.
Would you okay,
Yes.
and you did not tell anybody. Tyler is the first employee, I mean, independent contractor that you hire.
Yes, it's him, and then I signed a contract for our interim city manager Sherry Peasley to help us with some financing going on. So that we did
Oh, okay,
that too.
cool. Okay, there's so many issue about Tyler Diep. Okay, are you familiar with the municipal code section 5.08.020? City attorney, could you help me with that?
which code section? You said
5.08.020 business license.
Yes, it's unlawful for any person to conduct, manage, commence, carry on, engage, or in any trade, calling, business, occupation, or profession within the city without first obtaining a license therefore from the city, except as may be provided in this chapter.
Okay, so do you know that Tyler Diep have a home-based business inside the city? Mark one.
No, I didn't know that.
Who responsibility to verify all that information?
Yeah, you mean as far as him getting a business license for doing the contract?
Mhm.
Honestly, maybe I missed that one because over the years that I've been here, and we signed a lot of contracts, but I don't remember personally asking for a business license from companies and things like that. That's probably why I missed that. But yes, I admit I missed asking for a business license for him doing business in the city.
Okay, so
Especially as a consultant, maybe as a contractor or somebody doing actual work, then that would probably be more obvious. But as a consultant, that never crossed my mind.
okay, so Tyler have provided in the contract. He have a company named TD Strategy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's a company, and
Yes.
with home base address in the city of Westminster. That's correct.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Is there city clerk? Is there any way that you can verify and confirm that whether Tyler Diep have a business license in the city? Or anyone in the any staff will be able to can help have access to the system and help me with that. Because the last I heard, he doesn't have any business license. Alexa?
I would be able
Would
to
you
look
look
that up. I don't have access to it right this second. But if you
Okay.
want to give me a few minutes, I can log back into my computer.
Okay, yeah, just feel free to interrupt when you have the information. I appreciate that. Okay, so what the penalty? What the penalty for any resident in the city of Westminster conduct home-based business without a license? What's the penalty for that?
Alexa probably would know that because that's under
Okay.
her department.
It's a violation of law, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sure. If sure, yes.
Sorry,
Alexa?
could you repeat the question? I tried to log in.
What was the penalty for violating the municipal code business license required?
I would also have to look up a penalty amount. I don't
Okay,
know that
cool.
off the top of my head.
So Tyler doesn't have a business license. Okay, he have a home-based business. He submit a letterhead. He submits an invoice. Okay, and then I have an invoice laying around right here, and there was a fine print at the bottom saying that please make check payable to TD Strategy. Okay, and the last week I saw a check written right here, Tyler Diep. Okay, and that's why that's part of my interest about his business license. Apparently, he doesn't have a business license. You did not know that.
I didn't know that. No,
Apparently, did he tell you he have a business license?
no. The subject never came up.
Because you trust him.
No, I didn't actually. I didn't know he needed a business license really for this type of work.
Well, you are no longer a public work director, sir. You are a city manager. So you're just supposed to know, or people who know work for you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so, I'm wondering why no one advised you of that. There's a lot of talent in the city. Do you have an open door? Do you have an open door policy?
Absolutely. Like I said, in the contracts we did before, like with consultants, really the business license itself never came across my mind because, like I said, we usually deal with bigger projects and usually, so it's a different nature of the project.
Okay. Okay. So he doesn't have a business. And do we know we have a checking account for his business?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
A
So
checking
you don't know.
account for his business?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
You don't know that.
All we asked for was the insurance requirements and also a tax ID type of thing.
So
which is
Tyler
required.
Diep was in violation of the city's municipal code that he operate in the city, have a home-based business in the city without a license. I saw a license.
Yeah.
I did run a search on our system under his name and TG Strategies, and nothing is showing up in our business license system.
Okay, so there's no business license. So okay, well, thank you for that. And one of the public speaker mentioned run a check, and she mentioned it. Terry Rain, she mentioned that the TD Strategy doesn't have a FBN or something, fictitious name or something like that. FBN from the county, because somebody did their homework and say like, is there any way we can confirm that? So he doesn't have doesn't file a business name as required by law with the county, so he doesn't have that. I wish to have Tyler here so I can answer. I asked him a few questions directly, but like what I stated to you, in the email to you, Mark One, that if he cannot be here, I have to question you. Okay.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the AB 5, Assembly Bill 5?
No.
City Attorney?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to because they have different years to them. And
AB 5, that Tyler Diep voted yes on that. AB 5, no more independent contractor.
yes,
Okay. What is that, sir?
that would be, in terms of getting into the detail, if that was the one that kind of codified the issue of independent contractors and how they're defined. And it made it easier to define something as a person, independent contractor being an employee as opposed to an independent contractor.
Okay,
from
so
my
basically,
recollection. The
effective-
Dynex case, I think it was codified that.
Okay, so Tyler Diep, when he was the assemblyman member for the state assembly, he voted yes on AB5 and basically outlaw all of the independent contractors.
Or,
If you're listening,
or
Tyler.
a lot more people had to be declared employees instead
Right.
of.
There's the test. If you Google, there's a test, the 3 ABC tests that define
Yeah.
whether a person is an employee or independent contractor. So far, it's illegal to hire independent contractor in the state of California, except there's some exception. But I guarantee you that being a consultant and being a lobbyist is not one of them. Okay, everybody who want to work as an independent contractor can no longer work in the state of California. They have to spend about $1,000 to open an LLC. Okay, what is an LLC? Limited liability or something, right, Christian?
Yeah, limited liability company.
Right.
But that,
In order
but that
to
wouldn't
work.
necessarily be required. If he did file a fictitious name, he can operate
didn't.
under his name. Right.
Yeah,
That's my understanding.
apparently somebody checked and we can confirm that. So we want to hire a former lawmaker who broke his own law that he voted for to be a consultant. You know, Tyler is not my political ally, but I have nothing against him in terms of working for the city. But when I look at the way that he was hired, the way that he did not have a business license, the way he get paid, and the work that he has done and submitted to the city, and Mark One, and what you told me, and you told the council, and you told everybody, the information was given to me personally was less than truthful. And I have serious doubt about this hiring.
And
Okay, I rather have you let Tyler Diep go, cancel the contract, instead of let him terminate the contract. You know, it's really disappointed too. You know, I was supporting you wholeheartedly. I want you to become successful. I want to take charge of the city and move it forward. I want you to establish your legacy, you know, to the city, to your family, to everybody. But I cannot help but to think that you make a deal with the devil. Because I heard the rumor way before you got hired, appointed to the city manager post, that you will be the city manager and Tyler Diep will be an assistant city manager. And when I hear that from the news from the Orange County Register reporter, and I was like, it took me a while to get to normalcy, because I was a shocker.
that never crossed my mind, sir. Never crossed my mind. I don't know where that rumor coming from.
You know, we pay so far. You know, when we were corresponding, and you told me that we have to pay Tyler Diep another check. Was that $6,000 or something like that?
6,400
$6,400 for the month of May.
Yeah.
Okay, and you back pay him from March. Why? What did he do in March?
Not March, April. We did not pay for March. We paid for April 1 month, and then we owe him a month of May.
Okay.
Because the first
And
report we received was April 5th.
I want to itemize what he have done in the month of April, May. I want to know who he contact, who he talked to, and where.
Yeah. I,
It contact to anyone via email. I want to see the corresponding email between you and him. Text messages. You
No,
know, I'd
it's
rather
me-
have Tyler here so I can ask him direct questions. But for some
Sure.
reason, he refused to come here
yeah,
and explain to the city council what he have done for the city.
right.
Okay.
I
I
don't
want to
know.
know. I want to know why he broke the law, Westminster law, for not having a home-based business license here, not having a checking account, and what troubled me is that the city cut the check to him personally, and our city is not on top of the AB5, no independent contractor law that Tyler passed, voted and passed, that caused so many people so much problem because they cannot independently work as an independent contractor. Everyone have to pay $1,000 to establish an LLC or be hired at the city as employees for any major, any employer. And then every year you have to pay $800 renewal fee for the LLC. Can you imagine people who have to do part-time work and they have to pay that much money? And I'm sure I guarantee you, he doesn't want to pay $800 to get an LLC. He's going to get paid to Tyler Diep as an independent contractor directly. This is the quality that we hire, Mont One. This is the quality, this is the issue that I have with you hiring Tyler Diep. You know, I wholeheartedly supported you to be our city manager, but right now I have doubt. I have doubt about your judgment. I have doubt about your risk management. I have doubt about your ability to make decision behind closed door. I have doubt about the information I received from you. I'll be happy to receive your resignation letter, sir. Thank you.
Excuse me, Marwan, I thought I heard his number of 19,000. I don't know if I just heard it, somebody say that that's what we have paid him. Is that number correct?
No, that number would have been correct if he had worked for June also. If he had worked for April, May, June, that number would have been about 19,200.
Can you
But,
also, with that information that Councilmember Doe requested, can you also just give us the information as far as like a breakdown of the monies that he's going to receive?
It's in the staff report. I already put it in the staff report.
Okay, so
we paid him 7,000 and 6,400.
Okay, and that's it. That's total.
That's it. No, we haven't paid the 6,400 yet.
Okay.
We just paid 7,000.
All right.
And we still owe him 6,400.
Council Manzo,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would like to make a motion to have Tyler Diep return the money because this contract is fraudulent, is illegal. There is so many violations in this contract, and that the money that we have received to be returned to the city council, to the city.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't know this is all. I didn't know this information. I mean, now that brings up questions as far as legality. I mean, city attorney. Now that's a whole different issue. For him not to legally be able to work in our city, I mean, what does that do to, I mean, what's going on there that he wasn't even able to be able to illegally work in our city and to be able to receive those paychecks?
Yeah, I think probably I would suggest that if this is something you want to pursue by way of challenging his right to payment, that we set an agenda for a closed session discussion under potential litigation. because ultimately that's what you'd be doing, saying this contract's not valid, you want to challenge it. So we should have that discussion in closed session. We could do that at the next meeting.
Can we agendize from this item? Can we
And
agendize?
generally you can, when you're discussing something and there's something relevant to that item, you know, I would get a vote for it.
Well, can we walk on a emergency closed session tonight and discuss this?
But can we agenda from this conversation?
You could, as part of this item, you could. I think to walk on something as an emergency item, there has to be an urgency. And what I understand is that there's no payment right now going out the door. So that we could hold payment. Is that not true, Marwan? We could.
Yes. Yeah, we can hold that last payment.
But we already paid $7,000 because I saw that check.
Right,
Written.
that's it. That's the only payment made already so far.
So my recommendation then, just to hold that payment and then have a closed session at the next meeting.
Okay, closed session in the next meeting is good.
Okay. Can you get the motion to do that?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion.
Yeah,
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
So if I can go back for a second. So I actually had a motion originally to ask Tyler to return the funds. That motion is just not gonna, that's a changed motion now, right? So now the motion is to add an item to closed session for the next meeting.
To discuss about Tyler return the $7,000 check that he get from a legal contract. And in the meantime, we're going to order the city not to mail out that payment for May.
Okay, ask to hold the funds. Okay.
And are you also asking as part of that motion that we ask Tyler not to return the money that was already paid?
That we're going to ask the purpose for that closed session meeting is to address that issue, asking Tyler to return that money on that illegal contract.
Okay. The second agrees with that?
Yes.
Do we have the vote then?
Are we going to
Can
vote?
you repeat the motion again? Can you repeat the motion again?
As I understand the motion, it's to agendize a closed session for the next meeting for potential litigation to discuss this issue of the contract with Tyler Diep, TD Strategies. It's to also, to discuss the idea of whether or not to ask for the funds back. And what else am I missing in there? There was.
Well, legality, I mean, he doesn't have a.
And withhold the payment. And then
Yeah, and we're
no
going to withhold the current
not
payment until after council provides further direction.
Let's vote.
Are we voting?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just waiting for the mayor's cue if we're voting.
All right, so we have the motion and the second on the floor, and then the council go to discuss in the closed door, right? For this
Yes,
kind of issue.
at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So roll call vote. Councilmember Doe,
Yes.
Councilmember Ho,
Yes.
Councilmember Manzo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nguyen,
Yes.
and Mayor Ta.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
All right, anything else regarding this item? I
Yes.
understand, I understand all the council member, you all have concerns regarding our city manager. However, I believe our city manager, he had reason to hire Tyler, and he already explained that. So I don't want to repeat. I mean, in the past, a former city manager hire a consultant, and like city council, we never asked about that. But however, I mean, I don't want to repeat, but our city manager, I really respect him, you know, because he had a reason. All right, so now we move on.
I want to add to that too. I want to add to that too. One of the reasons that I think that you guys still remember that one of the questions that I asked during the interview is that, can you get the, you know, based on your experience as a public director, I know that you've been, you know, lobby for a lot of funding for the city. And that's true. He mentioned it a lot of times during the meeting. And so that's the reason why I asked him, and he said, yes, he can do that. So this is one of the things that I confidently that he's trying to do. Well, the thing that, you know, I don't know if he knows it, you know, what are the questions that you have, but I can tell you that he have wholeheartedly that trying to get the money for the city. So I respect you for that. Okay. And you actually did per your, you know, what you promised during your interview. And I commend you for that. So let's move on.
All right.
You cannot disclose closed session information, just so you know.
Well, it's just an interview.
So next item, 6.1, city manager purchasing authority.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, good evening again. This item is in response to Councilman Manzo when he last meeting suggested that the city manager expenditure limit be reduced. So after that, we surveyed these surrounding cities around us to see what level the city manager have authority to spend money before coming to council. And we found the following. Fountain Valley, the city manager limit is $50,000. Garden Grove is $50,000. Huntington Beach is $100,000. And then Seal Beach is 34. And what's not listed here, we got Stanton number after the report was done was, I believe, 26,000. So based on those numbers, I am recommending that the council limit my authority to spend money to $50,000 to be consistent with surrounding cities. And I believe this is a workable number. However, we would, if the council okay with the number, we would like to come back to you next meeting to review the purchasing ordinance for the city, because I would like to exclude the public works projects out of this. Currently, we have certain limitations when we go out to bid, when we go formal bid, informal bid, and then council awards. So I would like to exclude that from that, and then the maintenance contracts, and then as well as the emergency contracts. So we can explain all that next time by our purchasing ordinance, and then but the main thing is that any contracts that comes out of the city manager's office would be limited to $50,000. Otherwise, I would have to come to council with those. And then, you know, hearing what we heard, understanding what's going on, you can be assured now any contract I will sign, it will be sent to you, whether it's a $1 or a 50,000 or a 50,000. So that I can assure you that's going to happen.
Move to
I'll
approve.
just send it as an items of interest, and then you will have all the information.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment before we make a motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the I look at the municipal code 3.44.080. Did we have a 2 bits when we hired Tyler Diep?
That's
$4,000, right?
That's considered professional service. That's considered professional service. It's not. It doesn't fall under that, I don't believe.
So for professional service, what is professional service?
Professional service is when you hire engineers, architects, technical people, professional people, versus like a plumbing, electrician, things like that. So that's how the
Okay,
state
So
code
landscaping,
defines.
professional service, landscaping and not professional service?
I'm sorry?
Okay, so landscaping, paving, those are
Yes,
professional
no.
service?
Yeah, that's not considered professional service. It's considered as
That not?
no. They're considered as I forget the term, but they fall under different classification, but not professional per se.
Where does it say professional service in that MC code? I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure.
3.44.080, Christian?
80, right, and then G, and then 1.
Okay, those are subsection.
Yeah, 1, it's 1 underneath G. Except as otherwise provided by law.
Can we modify the MC code to make sure that they cover everything?
We can probably change our purchasing code. Yeah, I'm not sure, Christian. That's a question to Christian, but we're willing to do that.
Yes, I think what we're proposing is to get some direction and then come back at the next meeting with a modified code.
Okay, yeah, I think we should eliminate that professional services. Anything that would dollar amount greater 45,000 or less than whatever 50,000.
Well, normally
So
when
the
you're doing,
number is much lower than right now, right? Before 45,000 to 175,000, 2 bit.
there's two things. There's two things at issue, and that is the amount of authority that the city manager has to execute a contract without having to take it to the council for approval. He does it on his own. That's the main, I would think, the main issue here. The second issue is whether or not the contract is bid or, competitively bid. Typically, in every city, you have to bid public works contracts and other contracts. A lot of times, professional services are not, because you don't want to have to go with the lowest bidder on something when you're dealing with, you don't go with the cheapest accountant, because you get what you pay for sometimes in those. So they always have an exception for professional. That has to do with bidding. But the issue of what's the city manager's authority to approve a contract versus having to take it to the city council is, I think, the primary issue here.
I totally understand that, Christian. I totally understand. But my concern right now is we have to have check and balances. So the ability to, is who to get in, to do business with the city. That's what I'm exploiting the check and balances issue here. So I totally understand that. Yes. So how do we do that? How do we come up with a check and balances that taking all that expertise that we want to hire in without getting bids, but at the same time we can put in a check and balances so that we will avoid some of the manipulation and that's this kind of authority.
Well, I think the key issue really is having to put it on a council agenda and having staff spend the time to put together a staff report. It's easier if the city manager, to get something done, to be able to have authority up to a certain level. The question is, at what level are you comfortable with the city manager having the ability to just get something done? The contract is going to be a public record, so that's always available. But the question is, at what point do you want it to come to the city council? It's big enough that you're feeling that we need to put this on an agenda.
Can we bring it lower?
Yeah, you can
Right
take
now
it
it's
as low
what,
as you like.
45 to 50, right? Is that what it is?
Right now, we have it up to 175, really.
No. The new staff report.
Yeah.
I think 50,000, I think is pretty reasonable. Considering what's surround the neighboring cities. I think
If you want to bring it down to 40, that's okay too. I mean, whatever the council likes is no problem.
50,000 is good. I mean, it's all about.
No, I'm talking about the 2-bit requirement.
Yeah,
Right now, it's what we're just saying right now, $50,000 per contract.
yeah, two bids are required between 15,000. Actually, the 75 is a typo. That should be 45,000, right, Aaron?
That's correct. So 2 bids are required between 15 and 45, and then between 45 and 175 currently, 2 bids are also required, but the city manager has to sign. So up to 45, the city manager doesn't have to sign. After 45, the city manager does have to sign as it currently stands. But
Oh, so that's a typo.
Yes. Yeah, the 75 should be
So-
45.
right, that was my typo. But if you look at the attached ordinance on page 3, D or C and D, say the 15 to 45 and then the 45 to 175.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I like to hear the
I'm good with that.
other council.
All right, so Vice Mayor would like to make a motion as recommended for 50,000, right? I heard that
Yes.
before. Is
Yes,
that true?
I just
True.
want to clarify.
All right.
So I'm sorry, the 50,000 would be which number are we setting that? Where it says 175, it comes down to 50?
All right.
The formal bidding requirement?
Item, I wanted to make sure that D, that one